The federal judge throws out Amin's case against Rachel Maddow of MSNBC, saying that Maddow's claim was clearly false. The order of all of those steps could lead to charges in an ongoing criminal investigation. Adding a lot of resources to criminal investigations. Famous American news host Rachel Maddow, who is the host of MSNBC, is now at the heart of a high-stakes lawsuit and is being charged with new crimes. Gynecologist Doctor Amin sued in a case that. Will our media company be able to handle the lawsuit? What caused the court case? Want to find out? Then stick around and watch as we dive in. Before we talk about the shocking new charges against Rachel Maddow, let's take a moment to remember her youth and how she became one of the most important nightly news hosts in America. Stay with us and learn about Rachel Maddow's early life and how her work has grown. She was born in California's Castro Valley. Her family put a lot of value on schooling and having a strong sense of what's right for everyone. Talking about politics at home when she was young had a big impact on her job path. Robert Maddow, her father, used to be a captain in the U.S. Air Force. He quit the year before she was born and then worked as a lawyer for the East Bay Municipal Utility District. Elaine was her mother and she ran school programs. She has a brother named David. Her grandfather on her dad's side was Jewish. Medvedov was the family's first name. They came to the United States from the Russian Empire. Her grandma on her dad's side was Dutch. Maddow's Canadian mother comes from Newfoundland and Labrador and has English and Irish roots. Maddow has said that her family is very, very Catholic, and her mother has said that the neighborhood where she grew up is very conservative. Maddow was a strong athlete who played volleyball, basketball, and swam in high school. Maddow has said that she's like a cross between the jock and the mean girl in high school, referring to John Hughes movies. She went to and graduated from Castro Valley High School and Stanford University. The college newspaper found out she was a woman in an interview that came out before she could tell her parents. She was a freshman of college. It was at Stanford that she got her degree in public policy in 1994. The John Gardner Fellowship was given to her at graduation. She got a Rhodes Scholarship and started her graduate studies at Lincoln College, Oxford, in 1995. The same year, she was also given a Marshall Scholarship, but she turned it down in favor of the Rhodes. This made her the first Rhodes Scholar winner who was publicly gay. She went to the University of Oxford and got her PhD in politics in 2001. Lucia Zedner was her thesis advisor, and the subject of her paper was HIV, AIDS, and healthcare reform in British and American prisons. Maddow's first job as a radio host was at WRNX in Holyoke, Massachusetts in 1999. At the time the Dave in the Morning show was there, she competed in and won a contest to find a new second lead for the shows after the Runx show. For 2 years, she aired Big Breakfast on WRSI in Northampton, Massachusetts, before leaving in 2004 to join the new Air America radio network. She co-hosted Unfiltered with Chuck D of the hip-hop group Public Enemy and Liz Winstead, who helped make The Daily Show until it was canceled in March 2005. It was April 2005, 2 weeks after Unfiltered was canceled, that Maddow's 2-hour radio show during the week, The Rachel Maddow Show, started. It added a third hour in March 2008, airing from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. David Bender filled in for Maddow during the third hour of the call-in segment when Maddow was on TV duty. Later in 2008, when Maddow started his regular MSNBC show, the show went back to being 2 hours long. It's also known as The Rachel Maddow Show. After Maddow renewed her deal with Air America early in 2009, her radio show was moved to 5 a.m. for an hour, Eastern Time. This version of the show started with a short welcome from Maddow. It was then based on the audio from Maddow's TV show that aired on MSNBC the night before. The change wasn't explained or warned about very much, except for Maddow's words that having 2 shows a day was way too much work. Maddow's radio show stopped when Air America shut down on January 21st, 2010. Tucker, an MSNBC show led by Tucker Carlson, added Maddow to its lineup of guests in June 2005. In November 2006 and after, she was a guest on CNN's Paula Zahn Now. She was also a reporter for the Advocate News magazine, a short-form news magazine for LGBT people that got its ideas from Advocate articles. Maddow became a political expert for MSNBC in January 2008. He was a regular panelist on Race for the White House with David Gregory, MSNBC's coverage of the election, and Countdown with Keith Olbermann. Maddow hosted Countdown with Keith Olbermann as a fill-in host in 2008. It was her first time leading an MSNBC show. Maddow said on air that she was feeling nervous. Keith Olbermann told her how great her work was, and the next month she was brought back to lead Countdown. The news show she led got the most viewers from 25 to 54 years old. Olbermann put Maddow third on his show's World's Best Persons list because of how well she did. In July 2008, Maddow stepped in again for a number of shows. Maddow also hosted Race for the White House when David Gregory wasn't available. Olbermann pushed for Maddow to have her own show on MSNBC after these appearances, and he was finally able to get Phil Griffin to give her Dan Abrams' time spot. In August 2008, MSNBC said that the Rachel Maddow show would take over the 9 p.m. time slot on the network from Verdict with Dan Abrams the next month. After its first episode, the show beat Countdown several times to become MSNBC's most popular show. Maddow's show got twice as many viewers in that hour after being on air for more than a month. Maddow became the first openly gay or lesbian host of a primetime news show in the US with this show. At first, the reviews for the show were good. Matea Gold of the Los Angeles Times wrote that Maddow gets the right balance on MSNBC. The Guardian said that Maddow had become the most famous person on American television news. David Bowder, a columnist for the Associated Press, said that he thought she was Olbermann's political soulmate and that the Olbermann-Maddow shows were a leftist 2-hour block. A lot of people in the crowd were shocked to learn that Rachel Maddow was very close with Roger Ailes, the CEO of Fox News. She said that she talked to him a lot to get professional help on how to present the news. This was something she never told anyone because she was afraid it could be used against her. In later years, she said that Ailes had promised her not to work if she didn't go on the show. In the middle of May 2017, when there were a lot of problems with the Trump government, MSNBC had higher news ratings than both CNN and Fox News. The Rachel Maddow Show was the most watched non-sports show on TV for the first time the week of May 15th. Rolling Stone called her America's wonkiest anchor, and the most trusted name in news. Maddow has said that the goal of her show is to make the world a better place by spreading useful knowledge. When writing about the Trump government, she said, "Don't pay attention to what they say, pay attention to what they do. That's because it's easier to cover a story that's moving quickly when you're not thinking about what the White House is denying." Maddow usually starts her show with a long story, sometimes more than 20 minutes long. She has called this the A block on radio. She often starts with movie clips and other media from events that happened years or decades ago and then ties them in with today's news. During the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in 2021, Maddow spoke out strongly in favor of vaccinations. For the sake of themselves and others, she told people to get vaccinations. Maddow took a break from her show from February to April 2022 so that the movie version of Bagman could be made. From May 2022 on, her show will air every week on Mondays. Maddow splits her time between working in Manhattan and New York City and living with her artist partner in West Cummington, Massachusetts. They met in 1999 while Maddow was working on her research for her PhD. Since she was a teenager, she has had cycles of sadness. She talked about how she deals with her sadness every day and has for as long as she can remember in an interview in 2012. She said that it doesn't get in the way of her happiness, work, or energy. Maddow said that working out, fishing, and sleeping are her favorite ways to relax. She is also a Catholic who lives her faith. Rachel Matthews. She has become well known in American media for her unique take on current events and politics. Millions of people are interested in her because of how important she is on MSNBC. But that could all be about to change. Surprisingly, the TV news star is now being sued for new charges in her bizarre case. Want to know what new charges she has and how they might affect everything she's worked for? Stay tuned as we dive in. She is being sued for $30 million by Rachel Maddow. 39 fake claims were made about the doctor they called the uterus collector by Rachel Maddow, MSNBC, and NBC reporters, based on a report from a nurse at the ICE detention center named Dawn Wooten, who spoke out. In 2020, nurse Dawn Wooten said that Dr. Mahendra Amin cut out a lot of women's uteruses at an ICE center in Georgia. Even though what she said was shocking, it was based on rumors and not solid proof. Even so, NBC News ran the story and MSNBC showed parts that made the accusations sound worse. Maddow is in charge of what she says on her show, and when she criticized the tipster letter and said she didn't want to assume that the accusations against the plaintiff were true, she may have shown a high level of doubt. Maddow has since explained what she meant. Whatever meaning the jury gives her words is up to them. In a harsh 108 decision by federal judge Lisa Goodbye Wood, NBC looked into the claims made in the letter from the tipster. The investigation did not back up the claims, and in some ways it made them weaker. The accusations in the letter were still released by NBC, wrote federal judge Wood. Dr. Mahendra Amin is a gynecologist. He worked at the detention center for 3.5 years, but is said to have only done 2 hysterectomies during that time. He is now asking for $30 million in damages, which is said to be Maddow's annual pay. In September 2020, a piece on the NBC website was the first time the story was written by NBC journalists. The story was then picked up by MSNBC anchors for a number of program segments. According to court papers, Maddow talked about the story on her weekly show even though she at first didn't believe the report and told people not to jump to conclusions. The reports were accepted by NBC Standards Department, even though the nurse didn't provide any proof to back up her claims. Christopher Soule, who was in charge of standards, wasn't sure if the story should be published. Even the reporters who wrote the story under the names Jacob Soboroff and Julia Ainsley were worried after hearing from the lawyer for one of the ICE detainees that their client had to have a hysterectomy because she had cancer, as shown in court records. However, the reporters still put out their story the next day, with the title "Lawyers Say Gynecologist Abused Migrant Women for Georgia ICE Detention Center." After the MSNBC shows, dozens of Democratic senators called for an investigation into the doctor's work at the ICE Center in response to the story that was released. A Senate report says that the investigation into the claimed mass hysterectomies found no proof of them. Instead, it found only 2 procedures that were medically necessary. Then, in September 2021, Dr. Amin sued MSNBC for slander. Now that the case is going to trial, the hardest thing for Amin's lawyer, Scott Grubman, who used to work as a law clerk for the judge who decided in Amin's favor, will be showing that the NBC reporters meant to hurt him. This case is the latest in a long line of problems for MSNBC, which has been criticized for the way it has covered different topics during the Trump administration. As the trial draws near and the race for president heats up, the network's credibility and standards of journalism are still being closely watched. Scott Grubman, Amin's lawyer, said, "I'm looking forward to trial and the chance to hold MSNBC responsible for what they did." There will be a lot of attention on Rachel Maddow, MSNBC, and its parent company, NBC Universal, during the defamation trial. The judge will look closely at how the network handled the story and how much editorial control it had. In the past, Rachel Maddow has been sued several times. The well-known TV news host has upset some people over the years with her brash personality. She has spoken out against powerful politicians and big businesses. Let's look at some of her recent cases again. Stay tuned as we dive in. The court case that Rachel Maddow won against One America News Network. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a decision from August 17, 2021, that Rachel Maddow, head of MSNBC, did not bring harm to One America News Network OAN when she said that OAN is paid Russian propaganda. The Ninth Circuit said that Maddow's comment that the OAN network is paid Russian propaganda was clearly exaggerated and did not amount to defamation. The host's comment on air was protected free speech. The court also agreed with the district court that the host's comment was protected by California's anti-SLAPP law. This law was made to stop people from suing the public in order to stop them from exercising their right to free speech. It was in 2019 that OAN sued Maddow for defamation after she said on radio that OAN was paid Russian propaganda, after her segment ran on July 22, 2019, in which she talked about an undisputed news story from the Daily Beast that said OAN hires an on-air reporter who also works for Sputnik, a propaganda news organization backed by the Kremlin. They filed the lawsuit. The Ninth Circuit says that the Daily Beast story is correct because an OAN reporter also wrote freelance articles for Sputnik News, a Russian news organization that gets money from the government. During her segment, Maddow said that Kristen Roos, who worked for OAN, was also getting paid by the Russian government to make pro-Putin propaganda for Sputnik, which was also supported by the Russian government. Maddow and NBC filed an anti-SLAPP motion in the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California in reaction to OAN's lawsuit. They said that her statement was protected by California's anti-SLAPP law. The judge in the district agreed. Even though MSNBC shows news, the Court of Appeals said that Maddow's show is more than just reporting the news. Maddow is welcome and urged to tell her viewers what she thinks. In turn, Maddow's audience expects her to use insults, fiery speech, or exaggeration to try to convince others of her point of view. According to the Ninth Circuit's ruling, Maddow's tone while making the statements made it clear to anyone that she wasn't breaking news. The court also said that Maddow's happy surprise at the Daily Beast's breaking news was clear throughout the whole piece. Because of this, the way the disputed statement was made supports Maddow's claim that a logical viewer would not think that the statement means it is true. The case between Roger Stone and Rachel Maddow. Roger Stone, who used to work as an advisor to President Trump, sued MSNBC host Rachel Maddow for defamation in 2020, saying that she had said hurtful things about him on her show. Roger Stone is a longtime Republican strategist who has been at the center of a number of high-profile scandals, such as the Mueller probe into Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election. It was in January 2019 that Stone was charged with obstruction, dealing with witnesses, and lying to Congress. After that, in November 2019, he was found guilty and given a 40-month prison term. Maddow is being sued by Stone for making the Rachel Maddow show on July 18, 2019. Stone says that Maddow specifically said that he had talked to Russian intelligence officials directly and was a part of the Russian intelligence network. Stone says that these claims are not true and have hurt his image. In answer, Maddow's lawyers said that the First Amendment protected her speech because it was fair criticism and comment. They say Stone's case is an attempt to silence her and stop other reporters from writing about what he is doing. The defamation suit Roger Stone brought against Maddow was thrown out by the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York in May 2020. Judge Victoria Phillips agreed with Maddow's request to throw out the case, saying that Stone had not shown proof that Maddow acted with real malice or reckless disregard for the truth. The judge said that Maddow's comments were free speech protected by the First Amendment. He also said that Stone, as a public person, needed to show more proof, which he did not. Stone went to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit to fight the ruling. However, in July 2021, the appeals court agreed with the district court and threw out Stone's case. The appeals court said that Maddow's comments were clearly labeled as opinions and could not be sued for libel. The challenges were also thrown out because Stone failed to show that Maddow did something bad or carelessly ignored the truth. It's not like Rachel Maddow has never been in trouble. They have said many bad things about her and put her in many scandals over the years. We'll look at some of these negative comments made by other TV news stars in this video. Stay tuned as we dive in. Rachel Maddow is a well-known MSNBC host who has been criticized by people from all political parties. Some people say that her show, The Rachel Maddow Show, has a liberal bias that favors sensationalism over fact-based news and makes American politics more divided. A Fox News host has repeatedly said that Maddow is biased toward left views. Hannity says Maddow picks and chooses which facts to use to support her liberal goal and doesn't give fair coverage. Hannity says Maddow plays up Trump's problems too much to get her viewers angry. He also says Maddow doesn't have any respect because she is obviously biased and gives false information about conservative views. Tucker Carlson, another Fox News host, agrees with Hannity. Carlson says Maddow is wrong for spreading conspiracy theories using anonymous sources and making right people and ideas look bad. In her comments, Maddow was accused of showing hysteria and emotionalism and putting ideology ahead of facts. One more person who says Maddow creates a McCarthyite atmosphere is writer and co-founder of The Intercept, Glenn Greenwald, accusing conservatives of being Russian spies, like she did with Roger Stone, without enough proof. He also says Maddow is wrong for not seeing how dangerous the U.S. national security state is and for backing capitalist policies that hurt communities that are already struggling. Another writer and author, Matt Taibbi, says that Mattow's way of doing journalism is performative. Taibbi says that Maddow puts entertainment value above truth, relying on simplistic partisan tales rather than nuanced analysis. He also says Maddow promotes a cult of personality around liberal leaders and has a Manichaean view of the world that divides people into good and bad, even though he admits that things aren't always that clear-cut. And to defend herself, Maddow says she's not like other liberal critics because she's a national security liberal and not a partisan. She has said she doesn't like how the U.S. uses military power around the world, but she was against Trump's move to pull troops out of Syria. Maddow has also long believed that Trump and Russia work together. How much Maddow is worth? Rachel Maddow has a net worth of $45 million right now. Rachel Maddow made $7 million a year from MSNBC for many years. She got a raise when she signed a new deal with MSNBC in August 2021, which made her salary about $30 mm per year. The deal Maddow signed in 2021 was meant to keep her at MSNBC until the 2024 election. She will actually do less work under this deal than under her old one. Maddow had been the host of a regular news show on MSNBC for 13 years. With the new contract, she could host a show once a week for 30 weeks a year. Rachel Maddow became one of the best paid people on TV when she was paid $30 million a year. With her new deal, she was paid the same as many of the best athletes in all the big sports. The 11th best paid baseball player in the league, she would make a little more than Albert Pujols and a little less than Clayton Kershaw. Rachel Maddow also started her own podcast called Bagman, which was mostly about the Spiro Agnew scandal in 1973. She also wrote for the LGBT-focused Advocate magazine as a reporter. Maddow is a skilled writer who has put out 2 books. In 2012, Drift: The Unmooring of American Military Power came out. Rachel Maddow's awards and honors were made public in 2019 with the books Blowout, Corrupted Democracy, Rogue State Russia, and the Richest Most Destructive Industry on Earth. The Hillman Prize for Broadcast Journalism was given to Rachel Maddow in 2023 for her show Ultra. The Sidney Hillman Foundation has given awards to reporters since 1950 who do investigative reporting and deep stories for the good of society. Winners show great range, the ability to tell a story, and a commitment to social justice. The prize went to a podcast for the first time. She got the Alfred DuPont Columbia University Award in 2020 for her podcast, Bagman. It is one of the most prestigious news awards and is given for outstanding work in broadcast and digital journalism for the public good. Some people think of it as the Pulitzer Prize for Broadcasting, which is another program run by Columbia University. Maddow was nominated for a Peabody Award in 2018 for her podcast Bagman, which was an in-depth look at the history of Vice President Spiro Agnew's forced retirement. It was produced by Rachel Maddow and Mike Jarvitz. The cocky politician who launched a full-scale attack on the government officials who found out about his criminal past and the reporters who wrote about it. She won the 2017 Emmy Award for Outstanding Live Interview for her one-on-one interview with Kellyanne Conway on The Rachel Maddow Show. The Emmy Award she won that same year was for The Rachel Maddow Show story, An American Disaster. Outstanding news discussion and analysis, what's going on in Flint. On The Rachel Maddow Show, Good Morning Landlocked Central Asia, she got an Emmy Award in 2011 for Outstanding News Discussion and Analysis. There was a list in Out magazine of the 100 gay men and women who changed society in 2008. Maddow was on it. After Ellen's 2008 Visibility Awards, she was also named Lesbian or Bi Woman of the Year in the United States. A Gracie Award was given to Maddow by the American Women in Radio and Television in 2009. Along with that, she was nominated for GLAAD's 20th Annual Media Awards for an episode of her MSNBC show Rick Warren, Change to Believe In. The episode was in the category for Outstanding TV Journalism segment. Maddow got a proclamation of honor from the California State Senate on March 28, 2009. It was given to him in San Francisco by California State Senator Mark Lino. The annual Power 50 list from Out magazine put her at number 4 in April 2009. In 2009, she came in 6th on the AfterEllen.com Hot 100 list. The Advocate's 40 Under 40 issue from June to July 2009 had a list of openly gay media workers, and Maddow was on it. She was given a special mention in the Eli Wiesel Foundation for Humanity Prize in Ethics in 1994. In June 2009, Maddow's show on MSNBC was the only cable news show up for an Outstanding Achievement in News and Information Award from the Television Critics Association. Maddow got the 21st Annual GLAAD Media Award in March 2010 for her segment Uganda Be Kidding Maine. The award was for Outstanding TV Journalism in a News magazine, but in May of that year, Maddow was the speaker at the graduation. Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts, gave him an Honors Doctor of Laws degree. Maddow received a Maddie Award in July for her ongoing coverage of healthcare reform, the murder of Dr. George Tiller, and the fight against abortion. The Walter Cronkite Faith and Freedom Award was given to her by the Interfaith Alliance in August. People like Larry King, Tom Brokaw, and the late Peter Jennings have been honored in the past. The Martha Heasley Cox Center for Steinbeck Studies at San Jose State University gave Maddow the John Steinbeck Award in February 2012. In the same year, the Gracie Allen Awards gave her the Outstanding Host Award. The Advocate put her in the running for Person of the Year in December 2017. Fast Company put her on their second Queer Top 50 list in 2021. While Rachel Maddow has been accused of bias, liberal leanings, and sensationalism many times before, this lawsuit will definitely change her legacy. How she responds and the result of the trial will determine how she is remembered. Please like and follow if you like this video. Click on the next video that comes up. Don't miss this!